Welcome to Excel 2010 Business Math video number 73. Hey, if you want to download this workbook, Excel 2010 Business Math Chapter 9, click on the link below the video. In this video, we're going to start on the sheet Simple Interest. And we're going to look at just the basic simple interest formula for calculating the interest. Here it is. Simple interest equals principal times rate times time. That's the way they give it in the book. Interest equals P times R times T. This is a very famous formula, been used for a long time. Used for simple interest. Again, next chapter, chapter 10, we'll talk about compound interest. Now, what's this I? Amount of simple interest. What's the P? That's the principal, the amount of the loan. What's the R? Very important. It's the annual. Boy, if only I could spell. It's the, all right, double take. Very important. This R right here, that's the annual simple interest rate. Right? The annual means it's for the whole year. The simple is to distinguish it from compound interest. And then interest rate, that's just the rate, like 10% or something, right? All right, very important because we'll always be given annual, and we'll have to deal with the fact that sometimes the loan isn't for the whole year. So when they give you annual simple interest rate, we then have to take the rate and multiply it by the time. Now, what is the time? Time is the length of the loan in years, fraction of 1 year. If it's 1 year, then that time is 1. So if this rate is 10%, 10% times 1 is 10%. Now, what if it's for a half a year? So you got a loan for 6 months. Then what is this T? Well, fraction of 1 year. 6 months divided by 12 months. That's a fraction, right? But when we reduce it down, it's to a decimal. It's 0.5. So what's if we have a rate, simple annual interest rate of 10%, and we're for a half a year, then 10% times a half is 5%. So that's how the formula works. Time is always going to be given in years. Now, we'll be given sometimes the loan term in months and sometimes in days. Next video, we'll talk about all the details about how to convert months and days to fraction of a year. But I want to look at this basic formula here and look at 3 examples. And I like this formula right here instead of this one. The reason why is it has all the information in one formula. Simple interest in dollar amount equals principal times simple annual interest rate. Again, simple to distinguish it from compound, annual to make sure we know this is for the whole year, times time, and then, oh yeah, time is a fraction of a year. So let's go over to the sheet SI. Here's our first example, 100 bucks times 10%. Fraction of the year, well, the loan is for a whole year, so the fraction is 1 divided by 1, or 1. All right, so what is the amount of the simple interest? It simply equals this times, so principal times rate times time. Now, we're always going to have to round. These are dollar amounts, and this simple example here won't run into trouble, but to the penny. Now, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to enter this. And put this over here. I'm going to type a space and then Control V. So it's always going to be, when we're calculating the simple interest dollar amount, it's always going to be principal, excuse me, principal times rate times time, right? Principal, that's the original loan amount in dollars. Rate, that's the annual simple interest rate. And time, that's the fraction of the year, right? All right, so now down here, 100 bucks, 10%. Oh, and the fraction of a year, that's the time is a half a year, right? So that could be 6 months. Well, let's do our formula. Principal times rate times time. $5. Control Shift 4 to format it as currency. All right, and finally, we'll see our third example. We're dealing with dollars, and we're multiplying and dividing decimals. None of these are messy, but later we'll get some messy ones. principal times rate times time. Time is always given as a fraction of a year. And then enter. Whoops. Luckily, that was being polite. What did I forget? Oh, I forgot to do comma and tell it which position to round it to the penny. All right. So in this video, all we did is we learned the formula I, which is interest, equals P times R times T. Important. Dollar amount of interest is principal dollar amount times the simple annual interest rate times time as a fraction of the year. Now in our next video, we'll see how to calculate fraction of the year for any situation we may run into. All right, see you next video.